I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in. Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. See him still sleeping, so I had to shake 'em up. Shake 'em up. I kept it too real. I wasn't faking up. My real life was a headline. Your real life got a deadline. My timeline was a hashtag. Your timeline just a hate crime. Coming in hot, feeling like Pac. Back in 9-4 when he took 5 shots. Too much drive to ride your wave. Ditch my top and I'm off that lot. Black on black on black on black on black on black on black. You don't have to ball a rap to get them racks on racks. Uber poolers trying to catch my vibe and find my way. Yeah, I know I'm ratchet, but I'm really safe. Hot sauce dripping. Everybody wanna start dipping. First nobody wanna listen. Now everybody pay attention. Now everybody pay a fee. Even Trump gotta take a knee. When the horn blow, y'all gon' see. Make the wall fall down like. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot the shot. I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot. Coming in hot. Shoot that shot. Shoot that shot. Shoot, why not? Hey, why not? Ain't no big. Feel like Pac. We can't lose. We can't stop. Yeah, coming in hot. Coming in hot. Coming in hot. Shoot that shot. Hey, why not? Hey, why not? Hey, watch out. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in hot. Coming in hot. Hey, why not? Yeah, coming in hot. Coming in hot. Just like the fajita. I write what I live. My life in the speaker. I'm nice with the flow. Just like the demeanor. I'm feeding my fam. I'm feeding the meter. They got the iron while I got the steamer. I bring the fire, but you never seen her. I testify, I don't need a subpoena. They want my soul, better go to Korea. I love my dog just like I'm Peter. Gotta protect him. I made the call up with just like I'm rapping. I know we left, yeah, now we back together, but I guess that is better now. Later than never, like, what's happening? I'ma need y'all quit asking when. Me and my wife gonna have some kids. Right now we just practicing. Teacher said quit rapping, man. That gon' hurt my average. I said thank God I ain't average. Yeah, I'm a bright young man. Kill the GPA and the BPM. Look, we on. So say what you say, cause that's A with Lecrae. From the A train to the A. I'm coming in hot. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in. Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. Wake 'em up, wake 'em up. See him still sleeping, so I had to shake 'em up. I kept it too real. I wasn't faking up. My real life was a headline. Your real life got a deadline. My timeline was a hashtag. Your timeline just a hate crime. Coming in hot, feeling like Pac. Back in 9-4 when he took 5 shots. Too much drive to ride your wave. Ditch my top and I'm off that lot. Black on black on black on black on black on black on black. You don't have to.
Hi, people. Good afternoon. I know it's a Saturday afternoon. It's nice outside. And yeah, today we're going to talk a lot about time management. So just so that you're aware, this is being recorded on YouTube. So it's going to be live to a wider audience than the XR Bootcamp audience. So hi, people. Thank you so much for joining in this this morning. It still feels like morning, but it's afternoon already. So first of all, welcome to the second Empowerment Day. So we've got this, we've started the Black Disruptor Accelerator XR Bootcamp, and the bootcamp is in collaboration between my company, Neo Enterprise, with a subdivision of Neo Network, and Taran 3D. So what is the Black Disruptor XR Bootcamp? It's a new bootcamp for Black women to, develop you to get the skills to become Unity developers. It's part-time, it's 3 evenings a week. So that is the Black Disruptor XR Bootcamp. So this bootcamp is specifically sponsored by the Westminster Combined Authority, and they're really passionate about you gaining digital skills and getting great jobs alongside it too. So essentially, if you're joining us on YouTube or you're listening back to this on YouTube, that is who we are. And we at New Enterprise, we run various other boot camps as well. Not just in XR, but within our boot camps, we've got Black Coder boot camp. We've got some founder boot camps coming up as well, and so on and so forth. So that's a little bit about us. So as I said, this boot camp is a partnership between Neo Enterprise and Taran 3D. So Taran 3D runs all of our teaching, which is great. And it's been awesome. I really want today to be as interactive as possible, because I am going to be asking you questions. We need to talk, we need to get real and honest. So if possible, if you can put your videos on, so that we can interact. So I can feel like I'm talking to people and we can interact as much as possible. Okay, so what's an empowerment day? So an empowerment day essentially is, aside from learning and, being in class and learning all the technical skills, these empowerment days are really good to inspire you, equip you, and give you the soft skills essentially to be able to thrive in your career as Unity developers, and also to thrive outside of being a Unity developer, and to give you the essential skills just to kind of live a fulfilling life. So that's the Empowerment Day. So today I'm going to be talking about how to manage your time. How many people here struggle to manage their time or have struggled to manage their time? If you can just raise your hands, put your hands up, your virtual hands up, that will be really good. Because I've been there. Yes, Benna, Lowly feels the same as well. Leon, Lowly feels the same as well. Awesome. So we've got a couple of us that have struggled to manage their time. So we're becoming, our world is becoming a lot more busy. There's a lot of things that goes on in the world, and there's also so many opportunities, and it becomes more and more of a struggle to manage time, essentially. So we're going to talk today, and we're going to talk about time management, and not necessarily managing your time from the traditional way, but managing your time from purpose, having purpose first, so that purpose can actually dictate how to manage your time. Because oftentimes when we address time management from like a fruit level, so what I mean by that is from like oh yeah, you just need to have these techniques in place, a lot of times those techniques aren't sustainable. So yeah, we're going to talk about time management with you in mind and your purpose in mind as well. Okay, so firstly, how are you? Talk to me, people. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so that response is like, it's so typical. Like, I'm good. Like, so why are you good? What makes you good today?
Because it's a Saturday, I could have time to make like a big breakfast or like a fry up. And that makes me feel better than having to like rush and have breakfast on the weekday and get out the door.
Yeah, I like Saturdays as well, because it's a time for me to actually sit in bed for longer than for at least 4 hours, and it's okay for me to do that. So yes, I feel you. How's everyone else doing?
I'm doing good. I'm currently multitasking a little bit, which is technically
not a very good thing. Yeah, like I feel like the weather's quite nice today. So I think, I don't know, it's actually scientifically proven that nice weather makes you feel better. So I definitely do feel better. The weather feels good. And yeah, like it's a sort of chill Saturday. So that means I'm working sort of. Okay, awesome. So Bernard says, my family is around, so I have a very full and noisy house. I feel you. I feel you. Okay, so so remember this. I saw this tweet. So this was actually from one of our Black coded students. She posted it on the channel, and you know, when I saw this, I was like, this is really, really cool. You know, and it's something to kind of highlight. So remember when you feel overwhelmed that your projects don't have to be perfect, that you can strive for progression and not perfection, that small steps are also progress, that you can ask for help when you're stuck, that having unproductive days is okay. And it's actually okay to take a break and reflect. As human beings, um, it's a natural feeling to feel overwhelmed. You know, everyone's at different stages in their journey of becoming Unity developers. Some of you, you know, have had experience with Unity and Blender in the past, but while some of you are completely new to the game, so whatever stage that you are, it's actually okay. Now it's actually coming to that realization first of all that helps you understand how to actually ace it and how to be the best that you can actually be. So I just want to have that gentle reminder with understanding that this XR bootcamp is a part-time bootcamp, so there's other commitments outside of this. Just remember that, you know, everything doesn't have to be perfect right now. And actually, life is a journey, and having those learning opportunities is just as good as winning per se. So yeah. So okay, so how many of us have just not had enough time because we've been doing too much or scrolling on our phone? Can we raise our hands? So if you've not had enough time because you're doing too much, if you use the hand emoji, if you don't have enough time because you're scrolling on your phone, I think there's another, what's the other emoji? There's a smile emoji. So if you use a smile emoji, if you're scrolling too much on your phone, use the hand emoji if you do too much. Put that in the comments. Okay, so we've got, Lana's got both. Oops. Okay. Awesome. So I personally have been guilty of both of these, where I, you know, do too much. You know, as Black women, we're great multitaskers. You know, we love to make sure that we are multi-skilled and multi-talented. So we can be very guilty of doing too much, or because we always forever complain that there isn't enough time. But at the same time, because of this digital, I don't know how to call it, digital phase that we're in, you know, scrolling on our phone is also something that we're all guilty of both. We're all guilty of these two things. So actually, I'm gonna talk to you about, you know, why busy is not good. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'm busy, and you know, we say that it's a proud thing to be, and I did certainly I'm guilty of this. I almost sometimes would wear the busy life as a badge of honor, but actually it's not a badge of honor. A busy life is actually a wasted life. And when you're busy and what you're saying is that, you know, there's too much to do and there's not much focus. And so it's really important that you know, we understand and we manage our time, and we take ownership of our time from that place of focus. So now, remember I was talking about managing your time on purpose. So managing your time has to start from the understanding of what your time on earth is meant for. So if you all could, in the chat, or you can say out loud, what do you feel like your time on earth is meant for? Feel free to unmute your mics. If you don't know, it's okay to say I don't know.
For me, I feel like it's a learning progression, really. You learn from your mistakes and you learn to find out what really makes you happy, really. myself.
Okay, so awesome. So yeah, for you, it's more about learning, which is great, and that's actually a great approach to have. Anyone else? Okay, we've got one on the chat here. At the end, I would like to have done something useful for others. Awesome. So again, doing something useful, providing solution, and empowering others for myself. Great things, Ben. So essentially, what we're all saying here is, these purposes that we're saying that we have should be the focus. So for Benna, it's providing solutions and empowering others. That should be the focus. So anything outside of that is a waste of time. Even, no matter how nice and attractive those things could be. I believe it was Kamara that said, I didn't see the person that said it's about learning. Again, anything that doesn't encourage your learning is actually a waste of time, no matter how good they are. So also, Cleone has mentioned doing something useful for others. Again, you have to define what useful means. What does useful mean? For me, useful might be taking someone on a dance class, and that might not be useful for you. So you have to actually ask yourself, what is something useful, and how do you define that? Because oftentimes when we talk about managing our time, we talk about managing our time from the to-do list that we've got. We have this unending to-do list, and we talk about managing our time from that point, when actually it should come from, actually, why am I doing this? Why do I even have this endless to-do list anyway? Why am I actually going on this journey? So it's always important that when it comes to managing our time, and when we're overburdened or overwhelmed, we actually wheel it back to the why. Why am I doing this, and what am I on this earth for? For some people, a lot of what gears them is maybe past experience. For some people, it's their faith. For some people, it's the injustice that they see in the world. For some people, it's that penchant to solve problems that they've had. So it's, again, really, really defining your why. And actually, that purpose births your vision. So if you remember from the last Empowerment Day, Daniela's Vision 2023 session, we really, really broke down, yes, you have this vision, yes, you have this dream, but actually, how do we actually make this strategically, and how do we put this into strategic steps? So we've already mentioned that we already mentioned in that session that you're going to go back and actually map out your Vision 2023 based upon that video. So if you haven't done that already, please do so, because you're going to be required to submit that on the 17th of June, and then we will use that to craft your career sessions. But essentially, really, what you wrote down on that Vision 2023 session should literally be the blueprint for you on how you manage your time. So now let's revisit that. Let's revisit Vision 2024, not Vision 2023. In Vision 2024, we spoke about, in the next 3 years, where do you want, who are you? What are you earning? What does your life look like? What does your house look like? Where, what kind of environment are you in? What does your career look like? At what position are you going to be? So again, if you haven't revisited it, or if you haven't done it, go ahead and go and do it. The video is on the Empowerment Day channel. Go and play it back, and you've all received the templates already. So fill that in and actually use that as a guide to understanding, okay, you know what, this is my focus based upon this document. And actually, I'm going to manage my time from this focus. I'm not going to take on any more new things, or any new things outside of this scope. And you can do a Vision 2024 specifically from a Unity developer point of view, and you can also do one from an entrepreneurship point of view. But actually, what you have to now do is, okay, how does this match up? Well, you can do one as Oyen, or you can do one as Benna, or you can do one as Jalisa. Oftentimes, when we don't know what to do, is because we haven't spent a lot of time thinking about actually what makes us tick. And oftentimes, when we we find ourselves busy like a bee, it's because we have neglected the why. So it's really, really important for us to really have that focus. Okay. One of the things that I like to say as well is, look at that vision, get married to your vision, and don't separate from it, even when it doesn't always please you. Sometimes, as you're going on this journey of becoming Unity developers, you have this great vision. You might want to build the best AR or VR game, or you might want to build the best AR or VR app. But it can get frustrating, it can get annoying, you can get stuck. But remember to get married to it and have that as a focus, and allow that to dictate how to manage your time. Okay, so now those are some of the really foundational things that I think is really, really important for us to grasp, because if we don't have those foundations in place, it will become difficult to understand how to manage our time. So let's start with this thing called focus. I've already started talking about focus. For you, what stifles your focus? If you can shout out examples, what stifles your focus? Or type out examples, or what stifles your focus? Unclear goals, worry and stress, amazing, doubts, any more? Rita, have you got any? Marika, Jaleesa, Sophia, Kamara, any from me? Imposter syndrome. Great, awesome. This is interesting. Doing too much at the same time. Amazing. Okay, so yeah, so these are, so I've put down some example external pressures. Some of us, I mean, I can speak for myself. There is sometimes a lot of pressure on me to do certain things, or to be a certain way. And sometimes, because of the external pressures of what I think people want from me, I may lose my focus. Sometimes it's misplaced priorities. It's cyber distractions, our phones, our environments, worry and stress. Doing too much at the same time, imposter syndrome, doubts, unclear goals. And you know what the interesting thing about all of these concepts are? The interesting thing, and the thing that makes all of them that all of them have in common, is that they're either lies to your progress, in terms of like they're not true. So worry and stress, when you worry and stress about something, it doesn't actually change anything. What it does is that it actually adds more pressure on you. You think about doubts. Again, doubts, they're not true. They're lies. And it doesn't add anything. You haven't even tried the thing before you're doubting. Unclear goals, that comes with, again, overthinking or uncertainty, or not knowing what to do. And oftentimes people ask outside and think, okay, what do I need to do? What are the goals that I need to set? But then we all have it inside of, we all know what we want to do inside of us, and it might not be clear yet, but they all of us have that priority, have that all inside of us. So just keeping that in mind. And actually, what I would advise as well is reflect on these things that you've already written down. Imposter syndrome, I struggle with this sometimes when I go into a room and I don't really know anyone, and actually more and more as the world is opening back up, I'm thinking, well, how is imposter syndrome going to play a role? Because now I'm going to have to start meeting people physically. But actually, it's actually thinking about, actually, I deserve to be in this room. And, the reason why I've been called here is because I deserve to be in this room. I think I was saying this in the last empowerment day that, I was speaking about when I was invited to give a guest lecture at Nottingham-Trent University, and I had imposter syndrome about it. But then what I had told myself was that it's actually a lie that you don't deserve, because you didn't ask to be there, they invited you. So thinking about ways that you can actually combat some of these negative things is really, really important. Okay. So now we've spoken about the foundational things. And I want to give you some tools, and it might be worth writing these tools down, to help you focus and to help you manage your time. So based upon, so I'll probably give an example. For me, Oyen, I want to be able to build, to build, to be able to get enough knowledge so I can have enough understanding. I want to have the right spirit, and I also want to be able to have the wisdom, to be able to develop the skill sets of Black women. That's what I want to do, right? And eventually, after that, I want to be able to build something that changes the face of culture. And I also want to be able to help other Black women to do that same thing as well. So that's my focus, and that's my vision 2024 in like a nutshell. So based upon that, a lot of based upon that, that would determine how I use tools like this. Some of you already may have tools that already helps you in managing your time. But for example, something like the focus matrix, where there's important and urgent and important and not urgent, not important and urgent and not important and not urgent. If you have a MacBook, you can actually download this from the App Store. Or you can, you can get this off the internet. There's lots of templates on the internet. And what you can do is you can use this to help you organize your time. So important and urgent. So those are the things that you need to prioritize. For example, if something is important and it's urgent, you need to do that. You need to give yourself, okay, I've got X amount of days to do that. If it's important and not urgent, then you need to delegate that to someone that you trust. Okay. If it's not important and urgent, then you can leave that to later. And if it's not important and not urgent, you say no to it. And this is the thing, a lot of us, we don't like to say no. You know, if it doesn't play a role into that focus, or it doesn't play a role into that vision 2024, you can actually say no, and it's okay. And a good way to say no is this. I actually said this to the Black Coders students last year. A good way to say no is this. For example, one thing I've said to myself now is, I'm not going to take on any free speaking engagement, just for example, unless it contributes to my vision 2024, unless it's going to get me to have the right knowledge, to gain the right right wisdom, to gain the right insight, to be able to develop the skills and develop my skills, to be able to get Black women to have the right skills, and also to build something that's meaningful for culture. If those speaking engagements don't contribute to that, it's a no. But however, I can say, hey, thank you so much for inviting me to this. Unfortunately, I'm unable to take on any new speaking engagements as I'm focusing on this. So again, focus on my vision 2024. However, I will recommend that you reach out to X person who is fantastic at this area. Please let me know if you need any support. I've said no. And what that saved me, it saved me time of preparing for that speaking engagement. It saved me, which was going to be free, wasn't going to pay for my time. It's also saved me the time that's taking me away from my focus. And it saved me from being, what's the word? Bitter about or frustrated or overwhelmed by the fact of by having so much to do. So when something is not important and not urgent, you can actually say no. And although the word no is sometimes a struggle for us to come in terms with, it's really, really important for you in terms of prioritizing everything. So thinking about what are your priorities and what must you do to get you to your goal. And those should help you determine how you map out your focus matrix. Does someone want to volunteer themselves to talk through their vision, a summary of the vision 2024, just as I've said, and actually how you will prioritize it on this focus matrix? Please feel free to unmute your mics. or you can type. Actually, it's better to unmute your mics because it needs to be a conversation. Anyone? Okay. Okay, so if no one wants to volunteer, that's absolutely fine. Do you understand what I've just said? Because if not, I'm happy to go over it again.
Actually, Ian, I've got a quick question.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that everything that you're doing in the week, you need to slot into one of these sort of boxes. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, and ideally do it before Monday. So
Do it
try and do it
before
on
Monday.
Sunday night. Yeah, try
Okay,
and do it
yeah.
on Sunday nights. And slotting. Sometimes something emergent will come up in the week, but then again, you should be able to be flexible to move around, and also don't overburden the boxes as well. I do this a lot. I overburden the boxes and I don't end up doing anything because you just look at them and you say, "Oh wow, there's too much going on." So actually, try and just put like 2 or 3 things on each box, and allow that to break it down during the week as well.
Because I think when you're trying to kind of build something or when you start something at the beginning, I mean, the pressure is quite high.
Yes.
And like you're trying to kind of like manage everything and there's so much to do.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it's harder to delegate those tasks than to actually just quickly do them yourself.
I completely feel you. Taryn, I feel you so much.
How
So
do you deal with that?
okay, so I'll give a really, really, really real example. So now as we're growing as a company, I'm realizing that this is becoming even more and more important, that we will not be able to grow. I wouldn't advise that anyone should do this or come to the point I've come to before you actually take action. Start taking action early enough. We've come to a point as a company that if I don't delegate even more, we're going to crash. So I've been forced to starting to do that, and actually I'm now forcing myself to prioritize recruitment. So we are, we're going to be recruiting people to get a bigger team. So prioritize that. Even if you have the competing deadlines, what you can do is just to communicate. Hey, I'm going to be focusing on this over the next 2 weeks. Apologies, I'm going to be slow in response. But however, this is X person if you need any urgent requests. So now I'm no longer going to be communicating with your students on like travel. So it'll be now it'll be Milka that will do that, because I need to now focus on more strategic things to make sure that we keep this going. So yeah. That's just a good example. However, one of the things as entrepreneurs that we struggle with is that delegation, because obviously it's this thing is like our baby, isn't it? And you don't want it to flop, or you feel like you have to do it. But sometimes, although it may take a bit longer for a task to be done well when it's not you doing it, the return of investment is a lot higher than you just continuing to doing and burning yourself out.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. And also the saying no thing. No. No is such a great, is as equal as saying yes, but sometimes we think it's not as equal. So for example, one of the things that I should have said no to, so someone reached out to us to me to design some social media posts for them. I said yes. They were going to offer, how much was they going to offer? It was going to offer like £800 for 10 posts. But we clear that, okay, we want to do this done by this time, but it's still, those 10 posts have still not been done because they were a lot slower to getting back to us. What I should have said is no. Because if £800 type of work is going to take me more than a week to do, I shouldn't be doing it.
That makes sense
for us. So saying no even to the opportunities that may seem great, but obviously doing it in a way where it's honorable for the person, and also so that that person can actually still come back to you in the future for any opportunities that may fit into your vision. But right now, at the stage of the students on the call, You know, if you're a student and you may be, in fact, I want to hear from you students. Please talk to me, because I don't want to talk from an entrepreneur's perspective, and it doesn't relate with you. So can you share some of your challenges that you're facing at the moment in terms of managing your time?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to know, because you guys are doing like evening work and some of you have got other jobs or you're studying as well, and how you guys are managing that.
Finding energy outside of work and the classes. Really, that's so true. I mean, especially Lana, that you just finished the surgery as well. I think you're really using like rest time as a way of recovery, and something I'm learning as well. Taking that time out for yourself. I mean, for those that you might not know him, his name is Joel Blake. I was in a conversation with him last week, and I was just talking to me about, he was asking me, oh, and how are you? I was like, I'm great. And he was like, how are you really? And I said, I'm great. He was like, you don't sound it. And what he said to me was, he literally spends, at least 10% of his week on just doing photography, not for business purposes, just to take photos, because it helps him escape from everything else. So find that thing that makes you escape, and that doesn't take too much of your energy. What I found is, for those that know, Bella Niger weddings on Instagram is a good way for me to escape, to laugh. Sitting on my bed for 4 hours on a Saturday is nice, and it's a good way to escape, and it's a good way to actually sit down and reflect and just be with yourself. Is another thing. But okay, awesome. So we're going to move on from this point. So as much as we've got the focus matrix, you can also use Trello. So you can use Trello to help you to manage your time. Trello has different cards and boards that can help you kind of prioritize. Okay, so how do you prioritize then? So you have to ask yourself, what does my schedule look like without this commitment? So be brutally honest with yourself when you look at your schedule. So do I really need to do this? And why am I committed to this? How important is this these are some of the questions you should ask yourself. How important is this new commitment to my vision? So using your SMART goals, how much does this contribute to your SMART goals? Can you give up something else in your schedule for this commitment? If not, then you shouldn't be taking it on. When I'm on my deathbed, would I regret not doing this? Sounds really morbid, but it's really, really good to kind of really help you check actually how to manage your time. How much value is this commitment adding to me? Is this going to add more money to my pocket? If, this is, this is really important to think on. So, and also one thing I need to also add here as well is as much as you can ask these questions to yourself, if you find that you can answer these questions to this new commitment, but you don't have the capacity to, it's probably time to delegate, and it's probably time to actually spend time to focus on how do you delegate better. So this is a good way to prioritize. Okay. Now, some of you may have seen, I don't put this up on my status often, but you'd have seen Laoli, or you'd have seen Milka put this up, where they'll put up a thing on Slack and say, I'm deep working till this time, I won't be able to respond. So it's really important that we spend a lot of time deep working, because deep work produces quality. So if there's a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. I really highly recommend that book. He spoke in the book about how he would escape to a pub. It would be noisy upstairs, and he would go to the basement, and he would write his PhD thesis. And because he was able to dedicate 90-minute block time to just his thesis per day, he was able to finish like a 15, or it was a 40,000 word or something. I can't remember how many words it was, but it was a lot of words, thesis in the space of 10 days, because he really, really prioritized that time to deep work. And a deep work hypothesis is like the ability to deep work, is becoming increasingly rare at exactly this the same time, it is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. And as a consequence, the few who cultivate the skill, make it, make it the core of their working. So you try and make deep work the core of your working. If you need to finish a project, you need to carve out time to deep work. And again, as people, as entrepreneurs, it can be very difficult to deep work because people are forever asking you questions. So actually communicate to people around you. You know what? I've got to be deep working at this time. Don't talk to me, type of thing. And you can return talking to me, later on. You want to be distraction free. You want to be able to concentrate and really, really be able to ace that stuff. And you don't have to be like Cal Newport. He ace something in 90 minutes. It's actually better to have 20-minute slots to deep work. And I'll share a little bit about what that is. Now, shallow work, we often do a lot of shallow work, and I'm guilty of taking on too much shallow work. And I'm also guilty of giving too many people too much shallow work. It's non-cognitive, demanding logistical style tasks, often performed while distracted. These efforts tend to not create much value to the world or are easy to replicate. If we spend enough time deep working, what we'll find is that we'll be able to do shallow work quickly, because we would have spent a lot more time communicating the process of that shallow work, how that needs to be done within what time, rather than just having spurts coming out of our mind of how to actually do shallow work. So these are some deep work tools. So focus matrix we've already spoken about. There's an app on Mac because I can only speak on Mac because that's what I use. But there's an app on the MacBook called Self-Control, which is this one here. And what Self-Control does is that it allows you to blacklist as many websites as possible, as many apps as possible, and blocks it for a specific amount of hours, or it's actually hours, specific amount of hours, and you cannot unblock it, right? So if you need to do that project, you're giving yourself a goal. You know what? I really want to, become the best Unity developer, and I want to apply for an 80K job. But the requirement for this 80K job is that I need to showcase that I've developed X amount of projects and I'm doing it excellently. I need to be able to do some deep work because I got to get there, right? So Self-Control really does block out all of those apps. I used this a lot when I was at uni, and it was a lifesaver when it came to writing long essays, because once I press the button to start Self-Control, I can't revert it until the time is up. And so you have Facebook blocks for 10 hours, Instagram, all those distractions blocked for 10 hours as well. So that's a good tool. But sometimes what people have said to me, feedback people have given to me about Self-Control is that what they find is that because they've blocked these apps, they spend a lot of that 5-hour time really thinking about how to get back onto the app rather than to work. So again, as I said earlier, the tools are not what's going to make you work. It's just an aid. You really need to start from that foundation first. Okay, now there's another app called Be Focus, which is basically a Pomodoro timer. I don't know if you've heard of Pomodoro timers. It's basically a technique where you do undistracted work for 25 minutes and you take breaks in the middle. So my Pomodoro timer, I do 25-minute block, 5-minute break, 25-minute block, 5-minute break. And then after 4 25-minute slots, I then take a 15-minute long break. Now, this is really good because there is actually research that says that it does take 25 minutes for us to get a bit distracted. So this is quite good for those that get distracted easily to really focus in on what your tasks are meant to do, and you can spend 5 minutes being distracted if you want to. So that's another good tool to use in terms of getting you to get your work done. Okay, so as I said earlier on, how do you actually use these tools to increase your productivity? So plan your week on a Sunday night using focus matrix. If it helps to print it out, do it. Batch similar tasks with a Pomodoro timer to increase your productivity, and therefore economies of scale. So therefore, if you say, you know what, I need to book transport, I need to do this, I need to do that, batch all of those kind of tasks at the same time. Therefore, you're able to actually increase your amount of things that you can do within that space of time. Learn to say no. There's an opportunity cost to your other priorities. When you say yes, you're actually saying you're forgoing other priorities. Look at the trend of what competes with your priorities and categorize them and have it as a placeholder in your focus metrics. So if you're saying, okay, I'm looking at this is competing with my other priorities, and it's actually not producing much results, review them weekly and then look at ways that you can discard those things. Say no in a nice and tactful way that still leaves the opportunity door open. So I've already kind of mentioned about giving that example earlier on. Overestimate, I don't do this so well. Overestimate how much time you need for each task or project. Oftentimes I would think that, oh, it's going to take me an hour. Then I'll get frustrated when it's taking me a day. Right? So overestimate, give yourself extra time and set hard deadlines for yourself as well. So those are the tools those are some tips on how to use those tools. Okay, now I also wanted to give you some human psychology and how it links to time management. 80% of people are early birds and 20% of people are night owls. Okay. So if you find, oh yeah, I'm more productive in the night, maybe you're a night owl. If you find you're more productive in the morning as in the day, then maybe you're an early bird. So, you find that you might peak in your productivity early in the day, and then then you try in early or mid-afternoon, then you recover late afternoon or early evenings for the early bird. So you have a peak in productivity. Yes, you can do it. You spend all of that time doing, Taryn said, I'm an optimist. So when I calculate how long things take, I work out how long it will take, then I double it. Yes, amazing. That's a good tip. That's a really good tip. So for early birds, you may have like really great peaks of doing great things in the, doing all those like hard tasks in the day. And then you find that, oh, I can't be bothered maybe at 12 noon, and then you recover again in the afternoon and then in early evening. But again, for night owls, it's a total opposite. Now, during your peak time, that's when you're your most vigilant. So you should spend that peak time doing the more analytical work, again, more deep work, okay? And carefully going through the steps for a strategy. For example, if you need to map out your the specifics of your project and what tools you're going to use your peak time to do a lot of analytical work where you need to do some brain work. So for me, I use the mornings, Friday mornings, to do our finances because it takes a lot of analytical skills. During your trough, you should be doing a lot more administrative work, okay? Because it doesn't take much brain power. And during your recovery, your mood is pretty good. So, but your mood is pretty good, but your vigilance isn't there. So use that time to do some brainstorming and doing more iteration and and creative thinking. I hope that's really helped, because I think if we can understand ourselves more, we'll be able to understand how actually it's not just about managing your time. It's actually about what works for Oyin as an early bird, and how can Oyin fit her psychology and her being into managing her time. Reward yourself. Reward yourself. Let's just say if you've finished that 1 hour time slot of the 25 minutes and 1 hour Pomodoro full timer of the 25-minute blocks, reward yourself. Whether it can be anything, it doesn't have to be massive. It can be something little. Maybe it might be a snack or something, or just something, whatever you find that might be relevant for you. Okay, so some of you may be thinking, all right, then I've heard you talked about all of this cool things, but what if my problem is actually procrastination? How many of us struggle with procrastination? If you can raise your hands, that would be great. Okay, great, awesome. Lana does as well. I do. And actually, it's a sign that you're a great leader, because They say that the great leaders are either always latecomers or you know, big procrastinators. Okay. Now, I'm not necessarily celebrating procrastination, but I just want to let you know that you're not alone, because I am also a great procrastinator. And actually, when you actually look at procrastination actually comes from fear. Okay. It comes from the fear of the unknown, the fear of maybe it not working. Maybe you've mapped out this vision for your app, but fear said, that's not going to work. So you don't do it. So you procrastinate, you just leave it to the side. So a lot of procrastination actually starts from fear. So how do you beat procrastination? Beat procrastination by being easy on yourself, being kind to yourself. Get accountability and put a cost to it. So you might say, you know what? Say to your friend, try and get a friend that's nice. Well, not that's nice, but not so nice. That would really, really put fire in your bum for not doing that thing. Get accountability and maybe put a cost to it and tell them, if I don't do this by this time, that's if it works for you, by the way. This doesn't always work for everybody. If I don't do this by this time, I owe you £50. If you know that, and the thing is, that cost has to be something that's going to pinch you, that's going to hurt you a bit. You've got to put a cost that's going to hurt you a bit, right? Or it's going to inconvenience you. So get accountability and put a cost to it. Set deadlines, and create to-do lists as well, and try and keep accountable for it. There are various apps and tools that you can use to get this. But we've actually got a free procrastination tool that we created in Neo Network. And you can download it for free. So if you go on bit.ly/Black Coder Time, you'll be able to download our free procrastination tool that will help you keep a log. I believe it's like a procrastination log that keeps a log of that. And it acts like another accountability that's not a human being, but it acts like a digital accountability essentially. So feel free to download that. I'll put the link in the chat as well so that it's easy to get. And you're also gonna get the slides too. So yeah, you can go and download that from there. bit.ly/Black Coder Time. Okay. Awesome. So I'm done. Does anyone have any questions at all for me? Questions, comments, anything that you think would help others that I haven't covered as well? How have you found today's session? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Awesome. You're going to get the recording as well, and also the slides, so you can go back if you need to. Picked up some great tips. Great. Thank you, Taryn. Awesome. Okay, so if we don't have any questions, I'm going to leave you to have a great Saturday. If you need anything, if you have any questions whatsoever about the session, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to see how I can help. Yeah, pretty much. So have a great Saturday all, and speak to you soon. And bye everyone.